All right, first and foremost, let's give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. It's your brother Kadah coming back at you with another video. And today I want to talk about this right here. You guys see the title. Iran calls on Houthis to prepare to cut off Red Sea Gateway. Can the terror group do it? Right? So it's important for us in these last days to pay attention to geopolitics, right? Global news. We have to know what's going on so we can link it up with the precepts, right? This is also how you get your understanding. So without further ado, let's jump right into the scriptures, right? Let's go to Revelation 16 and 15. Let's see what Yahweh had to say. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. So right here, right off the bat, we see Yahweh saying, blessed is he that watcheth. The only way you're going to be keeping watch is by paying attention to what's going on in the world. How are you going to know when these prophecies are coming to pass if you're caught up in the sports world? If you're caught up, watching football or playing Call of Duty all day? No, you have to pay attention to what the Lord is doing on earth and link it up with the precepts so you can understand what's going on, right? Let's get another one on that. Let's go to Revelation 3, and let's start from the top. And unto the angel of the church in Sardis write, these things saith he that have the seven spirits of Yahweh and the seven stars. I know thy works, that thou hast a name, that thou livest and art dead. And a lot of y'all are dead. Whether you in the truth, you might have some fringes on, might have your tassels on, whatever the case may be. You might be keeping the Sabbath here and there, but you're going back into the world, right? A lot of y'all are dead, going back into that spiritual grave, right? But here's the point. Verse 2, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before Yahweh. So again, you have to have more time to build up that grace, right? You have to keep going. You have to keep pressing towards the mark, because whether you like it or not, this world is ending and there's not much time left for you to get right. But the only way you're going to understand that is by paying attention to what the Lord is doing on earth. Verse 3, remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, look at that. Let's read it again. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Right. A lot of people in the truth and out of the truth, they have this prophecy fatigue, prophecy anxiety that I spoke about in times past. They know what time the game is going to start. They know what time they're hopping on Call of Duty, but they don't know what time Yahweh Shai is coming back. And none of us do. That's the whole point of being prepared, right? How are you going to keep your garments clean? How are you going to keep oil in your lamp if you're not paying attention to what the Most High is telling the whole world, right? So just starting off with that, now we can get into these scriptures, and we can get into this article. So this is Iran calls on Houthis to prepare to cut off Red Sea Gateway. Can the terror group do it? I'm just going to read a little bit here. Iran has reportedly, look at that devil up there in the top left. Iran has reportedly instructed Yemen's Houthis terrorists to prepare to close a critical Red Sea gateway if the U.S. attacks Iranian power infrastructure, which they already have, Reuters reported. A threat, expert warns, could sharply disrupt global shipping even if the group cannot completely seal the waterway. Right? Let's keep reading. This threat should be taken seriously, Nadwa al-Dasari of the Middle East Institute told Fox News Digital. With recent escalation and U.S. strikes on Iran, Tehran has already signaled that the Bab el-Mandeb could become part of its response. Man, and that's something brothers and sisters got to pay attention to, because this could affect global supply chains, and it's going to be bad if you have the Strait of Hormuz and this other strait, which is in the Red Sea, closed simultaneously. but we'll get into that in a little bit. Let me get this scripture real quick. Let's go to Jeremiah 20 and verse 8. And I'm going to switch over to the NLT. Right? Jeremiah 20 and 8. When I speak, the words burst out. Violence and destruction I shout. So these messages from the Lord have made me a household joke. And that's how a lot of people, feel in the world when they hear us, Israelites preaching the truth of the Bible, preaching the coming destruction, of these heathens, the coming destruction of Mystery Babylon the Great, aka America. These words burst out, and we can't hold it in, and we're labeled as a household joke because we're not preaching a prosperity-based doctrine, right? Verse 9, but if I say I'll never mention the Lord or speak in his name, his words burn in my heart like a fire. It's like a fire in my bones. I'm worn out trying to hold it in. I can't do it, right? Verse 10, I have heard the many rumors about me. They call me the man who lives in terror. They threaten if you say anything, we will report it. Even my old friends are watching me, waiting for a fatal slip. He will trap himself, they say, and then we will get our revenge on him. And it's so many people that have, cut me off because I teach this doctrine now, the truth of the Bible, that salvation is only for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that Mystery Babylon is going to be destroyed, that all these nations that have oppressed the children of Israel are going into captivity, right? But this has made me a household joke. And now I have enemies, frenemies that are waiting for my foot to slip because I'm telling them, I'm warning them, that things are going to get worse here in Mystery Babylon. Things are going to continue to spiral out of control. When I made the video a couple weeks ago on my channel, the prophet is a fool, right? And the spiritual man is mad. I showed you how Trump basically said that the oil reserves were getting ready to run out if he didn't sign that deal. And we see that the strait has been closed on and off since then. And now it's completely closed all over again. America hasn't received that much oil. So guess what? Gas prices are going back up. And not to mention, we have another strait that might close soon. I'm warning my people here in America. I'm warning the whole world, right? That things are going to get worse and this will affect everybody, right? But before we even get to that point, let me go to Psalm 78 real quick. I want to touch on this because we got to learn from the past. Before we even get to this point, we have to learn from these scriptures because everything written aforetime is for our learning. You blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans need to get back in this Bible because this is your history book, right? Psalm 78 and 12 in the KJV. Marvelous things did he in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan, right? So when the Most High separated us, he did it with miraculous signs and wonders. The whole known world knew about what Yahweh did for the children of Israel, right? Verse 13, he divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters stand as a heap. And this is the miracles that we got to remember. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because as we approach darker days, you have to remember that the Most High God loved us so much that he did this for us and no one else, right? That's why it says in Isaiah 43, since we were honorable and precious in his sight, he gave men for our lives, right? Let me jump to verse 15. He clave the rocks. Salakia, verse 15, he clave the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as out of the great depths. He brought streams also out of the rock and caused waters to run down like rivers. So miracle after miracle was performed by the Most High God ever since he, separated us from all nations, ever since he took us out of the land of Egypt. And he's always reminded us that I am the God of thy fathers that have, brought thee out of the house of bondage, out of the house of slavery, out of Egypt, right? He displayed his power by doing things that are still unheard of to this day. Providing water to flow from a rock for an entire nation is something only the Most High could do. And that was symbolic because he's our fountain of living water, right? And as we approach these darker days, I'm trying to call to remembrance, just like Paul did, reminding these Israelites who were living a Gentile lifestyle of their heritage, of their Israelite history. I'm trying to remind you that if you come back to the Most High God, keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, he will perform miracles in the wilderness all over again, just like he did what we're reading about in Psalm 78. That's really going into the book of Numbers, right? Verse 17, and they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness, right? And they tempted Yahweh in their hearts by asking meat for their lusts. Yeah, they spake against Yahweh. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? I mean, look at the disrespect. Look at them questioning the Most High. I mean, we've been a stiff-necked people, from the very beginning and even up until now. But look at this. The Most High performed all types of miracles in Egypt, all the different plagues. And despite all of that, they wanted to go back to Egypt for some melons. They wanted to go back into slavery. They wanted to go back and serve under Pharaoh. They didn't believe in the Most High God, that he could save them in the wilderness. And that's off. If you're still in the world right now, going back and forth, questioning the Most High God, is he really going to save us from Mystery Babylon? Am I going to make it on the chariot? Do I have enough understanding? Is the Most High really dealing with me? You need to check your spirit. Get your mind right now. Learn from these scriptures, because murmuring against the Most High God is no light matter at all, right? Verse 20, behold, he smote the rock that waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? So don't be like these wicked Israelites that perished in the wilderness. They were saved from ancient Egypt, but didn't make it into the promised land because of their lack of faith. And as we approach the time where we're going to be saved from Mystery Babylon, don't miss out on that opportunity to receive that miraculous salvation that we long for, right? And the reason why I'm mentioning this is, if the Strait of Hormuz is closed along with the other strait in the Red Sea, there's going to be a famine, right? Donald Trump is already saying that we're running out of oil, and the world runs on oil. If there's no oil, if we can't access that oil and we can't access the fertilizer from the Middle East, what do you think is going to happen here? It's going to be hell on earth. It's going to be civil unrest. It's going to be a time that we've never seen before, especially here for, Israelites caught up in the world, living the so-called American dream. But don't take my words for it, right? Let's go to ChatGPT, because I was already looking at this morning. So this from this morning. I asked, what would happen if the Strait of Hormuz and Al Bab Mandeb, I think I got that mixed up, but are closed simultaneously. So look at this. If both the Strait of Hormuz and Bab al Mandeb Strait were closed at the same time, it would be one of the most disruptive events to global trade and energy markets in modern history. You see that? These two waterways are connected by the Red Sea and are among the world's most important maritime choke points. Look at this image, just to put things into perspective. Iran has that capability. This is Iran over here. This is the Strait of Hormuz over here. And then this is the other waterway, the other choke point, which is over by Yemen, where the Houthis operate. Right? Well, let's get some more on that. So here's what would likely happen. I'm not going to read everything, but I'm going to just get a few. Oil prices will surge. About 20% of the world's oil normally passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Bab el Mandeb is the southern entrance to the Red Sea, used by tankers traveling to and from the Suez Canal, closing both would strain Gulf exports and force many ships to take much longer routes. And that route would be the Cape of Good Hope in southern Africa. That would add like an extra 10 to 15 days, right? So that's thousands of additional nautical miles, millions of dollars in fuel, spent on fuel. And if these companies got to spend millions of dollars on fuel to get these products in the stores, how much do you think they're going to charge you to, recoup that money? Global inflation would increase. Higher transportation and energy costs would affect gas, diesel, airline tickets, no hot girl summer for y'all, food, manufactured good, consumer products. This could get bad, man. And Europe would be hit hard, which they already have. They already burning up now. They already dealing with the heat dome that just passed. And the Most High about to send another judgment on them if this happens, right? And it's just so much going on with this that brothers and sisters need to be aware of, because you're not going to get this on mainstream media. But this is the Most High causing these judgments to come to pass on the earth, to create that environment where it's no turning back. Because if both straits are shut down simultaneously, right, this is going to cause, a huge escalation in global tensions between world superpowers. They're going to have to fight to get this thing open. And then that's why we're going to see, a big step closer towards World War III. So these things must come to pass. The Most High must send these spirits on the earth so that his will be done. These nations will have to fight in order for the end to come, right? So let's get back into the Bible. Let's go to Ezekiel 4, right? I want verse 10. Brothers and sisters should read this whole chapter too. Verse 10. And thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight, 20 shekels a day. From time to time shalt thou eat it. Thou shalt drink also water by measure, the 6th part of an hin, and from time to time shalt thou drink. And thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that cometh out of a man in their sight. Right? That's a terrible judgment right there, to have to eat your own poop. Verse 13. And the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. Right? So not only will you have limited quantities of food, which we've experienced in the past, but the Most High likens his judgments to a ring. So there's no slackness in the first or the last. These judgments are coming back on the earth all over again. And as you can see, we have a pending food scarcity with the closure of these 2 straits, if that does come to pass. But the food that you're eating right now is already defiled. People have been dying from radioactive shrimp all year. People have been eating bioengineered foods, since God knows when. Meats with cancer-causing chemicals, it's in everything. Ice cream and bread have pork in it. Even vitamins got shellfish in it. Everything you eat in Mystery Babylon, right, in America, everything you eat and drink here is all defiled. And the Most High said this was going to happen to us, right? He said this was going to happen. And you got to understand that this place is not your rest. This place is your punishment. That's why it's coming to pass here again. Verse 16. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment. Most High God is letting you know that food and water is going to be, scarce. You're going to have to measure it out. Okay, I'm going to have a little bit this day. I'm going to have a sip here. I'm going to have a bottle, today. Then I might not have anything tomorrow. I'm going to try to have a pack of ramen noodles today. it could get to that point. It's happened in the past, and the Most High God is letting you know that he can do it again, right? Verse 17, that they may want bread and water and be astonished one with another and consume away for their iniquity. Again, like I said, this is your punishment, right? So let's go to Luke 21 now. And look at that, things to come. But I think I want to start at verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, right? With perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. So, you know what, let me get verse 26 too. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken, right? So you got to understand, remember, Yahushua always spoke in parables. You know, wisdom is double to that which is. So you got to have your biblical lens and your spiritual thinking cap on when you're examining the scriptures, but especially when you're paying attention to what Yahushua said, right? So verse 25, it said, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, right? So let's take a look at what that means. Let's see what Yahushua was getting at with that. Let's go to Revelation 8. And I want verse 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise, right? So the third part of the moon, the stars, and the sun is talking about our wisdom. And if you don't believe me, let's go to Second Esdras. Yep. Second Esdras 5, right? From the top. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens mean signs, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth, pay attention to that, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith, right? But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago, right? Verse 3, and the land that thou seest now to have root shalt thou see wasted suddenly. That's going into the Holy Land, like Yahushua was talking about. The land should be trodden down to Gentiles to the time be fulfilled, right? Verse 4, but if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day, right? So pay attention to that. The point is the sun and the moon. And I got a quick precept on that. Let's go to Matthew 13 and 34. All these things spake Yahushua unto the multitude in parables, and without a parable he spake not unto them, right? Keep that in mind. What's going on my phone? Salakia. Right? So Salakia, let's get back on track. So on a deeper level, this is all going into the signs that Yahushua was telling the apostles, right? So let's go back to Luke 21. And let's re-examine this again. Luke 21 and 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, the distress of nations. That's the part I'm talking about. With perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, right? So yes, you will have blood moons, a solar eclipse, and things of that nature. But the minute the Lord receiving the wisdom, knowledge, understanding again is one of the biggest signs that the world, as we know it, is ending. And now that we have it again, the mighty prophets of old are prophesying against many great and powerful nations, right? And we're telling them the pending judgment of the Most High God. And I got to get this precept real quick. I got to get this, and I've been waiting to use this one. Let's go to Hosea 6:5. I sent my prophets to cut you to pieces, to slaughter you with my words, with judgments as inescapable as light, right? The mouths of the prophets become the spiritual blade of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. When we speak, the Lord's sword is drawn, right? Every man, well, each and every man the Lord gave this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to now has the wisdom and power to declare ancient judgments, right? That the God of heaven and earth has sworn by. If you think I'm exaggerating, I want y'all to go read Revelation 11 and see the power the Lord gave to the two witnesses. The men of the Lord, we don't predict judgment, we pronounce it. Our mouths serve as the spiritual courtroom of the Most High. And now this is why you see global tensions are at an all-time high. It's all because the Most High is speaking through the mouth of his servants, the prophets, like it's been since the world began, right? And y'all brothers and sisters got to understand that. But let's go back to Luke. Luke 20 what? I'm gonna make this quick. So Luke 21:28. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. So knowing this should let you know that our redemption is right around the corner. You know, knowing that the Strait of Hormuz and the potential strait over there in the Red Sea closing, and the potential of World War III starting, escalating and spiraling out of control, that's letting us know that our redemption draweth nigh. It's high time, like Paul said in Romans 13. Our salvation is closer than it's ever been. But if you get caught up with the cares of this world, these prophecies are going to come upon you like a thief in the night, and you're going to be destroyed. Now is the time to be paying attention to world news and linking it up with these precepts so you can build your faith in these last days. Otherwise, you're going to murmur when famine reaches your fridge, and the Most High is going to destroy you just like he destroyed our ancestors who didn't have faith in the wilderness. So this is just a quick video. Lord willing, you brothers and sisters were edified. Keep watch. Keep your garments clean. Keep the faith in Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and Shalom.